This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hi, my name is Sara Dietschy, rhymes with Peachy. Are you ready for 8K? It's time to upgrade your smartphones, upgrade your cameras, all the things, woo! The Sony a7R5 that just came out has 8K. The A1 when it came out had 8K. I shot some of that in New York and ooh, it was very crispy. And there's a lot of cameras now with 8K. Smartphones have 8K now, but do you actually need it? Don't worry, this video is not another one of those videos like resolution doesn't matter, image doesn't matter, it's all about the story. Because I actually have made one of those videos before, so been there, done that. Almost all types of media now, besides, well, podcasts, because they don't really care, is 4K. Nice and crisp 4K. And 4K cameras are actually very accessible now, right? But not all 4K or the 4K cameras are created equal, right? A smartphone 4K isn't gonna be the same as a 4K that maybe comes from the Sony FX6 or an Arri Alexa, right? There are many things other than resolution that go into a beautiful video image. There's sensor size, megapixels, and camera ergonomics. You know, cinema cameras are very different than mirrorless cameras. Those are just to name a few. In this video, I'm actually going to explore the idea of using very old hardware. This is the exciting part. What is in this Pelican case? We rented a very old camera for this video. It's an old camera that still has a very beautiful 1080 image, and I want to see if we can get usable 4K from it by, well, using magic software and see if it's usable. Maybe we don't need to buy new hardware anymore, you know? What is it? What is it? Dun, dun, dun! Today we're going back to the good old year of like 2013. Ah, look at this guy, the Canon C100 Mark II. I think it's the Mark II. So this has really great dual pixel autofocus, so great autofocus, has a very clean 1080 image. Unfortunately, it is only 8-bit footage, but I think we're gonna like what we see from this guy. So let's get him out. Ever since I got the FX6, what we've been shooting here at the studio for a while, it's kind of like I can't go back to non-cinema cameras. Just having internal ND filters, which again this has, all of the audio inputs, is just really, really great. But even though this camera is like a decade old, you know, not a ton has changed with audio and ND filters and all that. The big guy is resolution, right? And also video codecs and stuff. So I'm gonna build this up. You're like, oh my gosh, Sara with a Canon camera? What is happening? Well, like many people, I started with Canon. I started with a Canon T3i, and then I upgraded to the Canon 70D, and then I kind of wondered, right? The Sony a7S II, and a GH4, a Panasonic GH5, and then also I was like, oh, Blackmagics, right? And then only a couple years ago is actually when I got serious about my setup, and I was like, Sara, you gotta choose. Just go with Sony, right? Also rented the 24-70 f2.8. I actually have the f4, this 2.8. It's much heavier. Okay, tiny battery. Okay, we got the grip here. Oh, this is interesting. This is very different than the FX6, so I have to plug it in first. That's weird. Man, in 2012, 2013, I was like graduating from high school, doing an electrical engineering degree. I was not dealing with cinema cameras, so some of this might be kind of foreign to me. Big old screen, slots for SD cards, HDMI out, headphone, DC in for power, and a viewfinder. That's something I'm not used to on the FX6. Ah, normal mic jack. That would be nice. That would be nice to have on the FX6. Oh. How's it looking? Pew, pew, pew. This definitely isn't as comfy as the FX6 grip, and I like how it's so easy to adjust the FX6 grip to wherever you want, but whatever. I instantly felt the fan on the side start kicking. All right, and remember, this does not have 4K, so kind of the point is, hey, is the image good enough? Is the color science still great? Where I can have the body of a cinema camera, it looks legit, you have all the benefits of a cinema camera, and then hey, we could just fix it in post. Okay, so this fix it in post thing that I'm talking about is Video AI by Topaz Labs. This is something I briefly talked about in my AI video when I talked about, you know, actual useful creator tools that use AI, and I stopped being cheap and I actually bought it. So it's a $300 program, and it does different things like turn non-slow-mo footage into slow-mo footage by inserting more frames into the clip so you get a smooth motion. This example that I showed of John skateboarding, it did a really great job. It's not perfect, if you can see some of the like ghosting at one point, but it was really good. And when I saw that, that's when I kind of got the idea for this video. I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, if cameras just have a good image, you can really take this fix it in post to the next level and do it with resolution as well, right? So I actually downloaded the program and I tried it on some old footage. Now this isn't gonna solve bad footage. For example, this other skate clip of John, the footage is super interlacy and just not pretty to begin with. So, you know, Video AI, it made it sharper, but it's not gonna fix those jagged lines. Now, I dove into the Dietschy archives and I actually found a few clips of baby Sara. Yeah, Sara from 94, 95, 96. Now, this footage is tiny. So upscaling to 1080 or even 4K is kind of crazy. And as you can see, the result, again, is not perfect because it'll have a hard time replacing something that isn't there. This footage to begin with isn't that great, but when the blurriness of the original footage kind of calms down, the result towards the end of this clip and in the beginning is actually really great. Okay, here we go. Always trips me up that the Canon lenses and the Sony lenses are opposite. So turning left is zoom on a Canon, turning right is zoom on Sony. Okay, focus is just wasn't as good 10 years ago, you know? Okay, this is actually making me kind of nostalgic, like having to manually focus. It's such a stupid thing, because like, professionals always manually focus, right? Okay, the article said to keep it at ISO 850 for max dynamic range. So I want to put it on some sticks, put it next to my A-cam video setup right here. We got the AFX6, right? And I want to see, hey, would this be usable? Would you guys know any difference if I switched to a 10-year-old camera here? So let's do that real quick. Okay, recording on the C100. If I entered a video on this camera, hey guys, what's up? Sara Dietschy rhymes with Peachy. Would you even tell? This versus this, the FX6. So this is just me taking the log kind of flat image from the C100 and just going into Resolve and bloop, making it bigger to where it fits in a 4K image. Crazy difference, I don't know. Now let's go into Resolve and let's just move that sharpen slider. Does it look like a 4K image? Okay, so I actually need to look at this footage and then we're gonna start firing up this software and seeing if this is like a valid proposition. Buy hardware that is cheap, a $1,000 cinema camera instead of a $6,000 cinema camera like these. And then the trade-off is, well, time as you take that footage, put it through your computer and upscale it. A lot of these AI technologies are moving super fast, so even though it might be slow now, who knows where it will be in the next 6 months or a year. As you can see them right beside each other, it's actually pretty subtle, but the image is sharper. So I'm gonna insert the footage again, fully color graded, but now upscaled to 4K using the software, and you guys let me know, is this perfectly acceptable? If you clicked on it, would you just be like, oh yeah, another YouTuber with a quality 4K camera, but it's only an $800 cinema camera from 10 years ago. The door's not open because I had to let in Judy. He was hungry. He wanted to eat some food. Kitty, what are you doing? What? Do you want to say hello? Say hello to the Peachy fam. Say hi. Before we get to the rest of the video, I would just like to thank our sponsor, Squarespace. From websites to online stores, marketing tools, and analytics, Squarespace is your one-stop shop for that idea, that business, whatever you have inside your head. I personally use Squarespace for my online portfolio, but recently I was like, I'm gonna step it up a bit. Squarespace has been adding features like crazy, and one of them is their new integration with Printful. So this allows you to build an online online store clothing, hoodies, mugs directly into your Squarespace site. So it's not a separate experience living somewhere else. You can build it right into your website, whether it's already your creative portfolio or maybe an online store with inventory from somewhere else. Well, now you can, Kitty, what? Oh, you got some in your face. There you go. Judy really likes Squarespace as well. We should make a website for Judy. I'm actually redoing my office right now. That's why the lighting isn't perfect and my background is just absolute trash. But the biggest update is this massive L desk, and so now the cat has his own bed on the desk and there's enough room for him. Anyways, Squarespace. I showed you guys in the last video that I'm actually working with John with some really cool designs for some new Stay Peachy and That Creative Life merch for the first time in a while, and oh my gosh, it has been so fun. You kind of got a sneak peek of the new That Creative Life logo, and I actually got my first sample the other day. Wow. The black is pretty clean too. Yeah, I mean, all-time coolest logo and mug. And I'll be able to integrate it straight into my Squarespace site for the first time ever. I am just super excited about that. It's not just merch, but hey, do you run an email newsletter? Do you need to take bookings or reservations? Maybe you run a spa or a creative studio. You can do all of this with Squarespace. It is getting to the point where I'm like, what do you guys not do? If this has given you any ideas, or hey, if you just want to try it out for free, you can go to squarespace.com. But if you want to get started today, go to squarespace.com/Sara Dietschy, that's me, for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Alrighty, let's get back to the video, Judy, and I'm gonna stop being so loud, okay? I don't think Judy likes when I film videos. Judy, it's okay. Oh.
My name is Sara Dietschy, and I have a problem. I buy too many cameras. The Panasonic S5 II just came out. Sometimes it makes me wonder if I regret switching away from Panasonic. I remember my GH5 days. They were good days. I remember my Blackmagic days. And now here I am shooting this Canon, and I'm wondering, did it all go wrong? Did I make the right decision? Is Sony still my future? Yeah, of course it is. I'm good with my Sonys, guys. But how did it look?
Oh man, what a moving film about cameras, right? But could you tell that it was filmed on a camera that you can find used for less than $1,000, and it only shoots in 1080. I was actually really surprised by the image that I was getting from this camera. It was actually pretty easy to color grade, and the color was really great to start out with. Now, I'm not saying all of this because you should go buy like really cheap old digital cameras and use AI to really soup them up, because obviously this takes some time post-processing. But what I've also learned is you can't take a subpar image and fix it in post, right? But if you take an image where the color is originally really great, but then maybe it lacks resolution and maybe it's only 24 frames per second and you want slow-mo, and with that maybe there's not a ton of motion, well, those types of clips are perfect candidates for a little post-processing, and then boom, you have 4K, you have 60 frames per second, you have slow-mo. It's actually kind of crazy how far this tech has come, and I'm kind of just waiting for the day when all of this is built into our NLEs, right? Premiere, Resolve. And I'm starting to think that the responsibility might not even fall on the video creator. TVs are already doing a lot of the work of upscaling. I actually still have my Samsung 8K TV, and obviously most of the content that's being played on it is 4K. So it does that upscaling, right? It's only a 65-inch, so I can't really tell that much anyways. But when it comes to 8K, I think we're kind of reaching the law of diminishing returns, right? Can your eyeball really tell? Now, I'm sure a lot of people were saying this when it came to 4K, and I look at my old 1080 videos and I'm like, oh, I wish I switched over to 4K sooner, because I can definitely tell, even when it comes to 4K video on YouTube, definitely even watching, you know, on the TV. But I think a lot of these tech upgrades will be, you know, the TV's responsibility, or even the streamers, you know, like if you have a 4K movie on Netflix, but you have an 8K TV, hey, maybe Netflix has some secret sauce to upscale it in a more beautiful way than your TV. And Netflix is actually already doing some of this secret sauce. So get this. Have you ever been watching Netflix and you're wondering, how am I seeing this film grain so well right now? A lot of movies are still shot on film, and it gives it that really like real life quality to it, right? Like think about the movie La La Land. Man, that felt so warm and real and gritty sometimes. It just felt like real life, and film can help that. And even if you shoot digital, a lot of people add grain in post. Back in my day, I would add grain to my vlogs because I just felt it had like a more, again, real life quality to it. I just loved it. If you did wedding films, oh, back in the day, like 10 years ago, if you weren't putting flares and grain over all of your footage, were you even a real wedding filmographer? But get this, when you're streaming on Netflix, you know, you're dealing with a person's internet connection, which isn't that great all the time. And so you can't stream these huge, large files of movies that, you know, are just like perfect quality where you can see that fine grain, right? So instead of that, they're adding grain on top of the movie, like client side, on Netflix side. Like look at this tweet from Parker. He used to work on the Premiere team, I believe. I don't know if he's still there, but his tweet has a little diagram and it says, how is Netflix able to stream such detailed film grain on highly compressed video? Because it's made dynamically on the client side. They interpret the film grain characteristics from the source video before the compression, then rebuild it on decode, which is like crazy. And when you scroll down, a lot of people explain that, oh, they've actually been doing this even since the days of like digital cinema and just streaming movies in an actual theater and also Blu-ray. But that was kind of crazy. So, you know, Netflix obviously has genius engineers. I'm like, oh, what are all the cool things that they can do on the client side, on Netflix's side, on YouTube's side? YouTube, I'm looking at you. Whenever I watch one of my 24 frames per second videos on my TV instead of my computer, it looks terrible on my TV. It's super over sharpened and it looks like it was shot in like 60 frames per second, not 24 frames per second. Gosh darn it, YouTube. So I don't know if this is a mix of YouTube and also my TV, but there's so many different factors on how you make video, how you upload video, and then how you watch video. A lot of this is just a mess, and now I feel like I'm not even sticking on the topic of the video. But I like this stuff, it's fun. So listen, getting back to 8K, for me personally, that's not something that is going to get me to buy a new camera. The new Sony a7R5 just came out with a lot of cool new features. That's primarily a photo camera, so as a video first person, you know, I'm good with my a7S III, my FX6, my FX3s. I'm not gonna go out and buy another $4,000 camera because, oh, it has 8K, right? The A1 also has 8K, and that didn't tempt me then either. But something that is really cool on the new A7R5 is that AI feature that detects people's faces, and the autofocus will only focus on one person's face. Now that is something that gets me excited and gets me a little bummed when I see it only on one camera. You know, Sony is so good at making a ton of cameras and pushing the limit always, but I would love to start to see some of these software features that they're rolling out on some of the older cameras that have only been out for 2 or 3 years or even 1 year, right? Okay, maybe my processor on the a7S III isn't fast enough for that fancy autofocus feature, but I'm sure it is for maybe the video map feature or some of the other stuff. So to connect the dots of everything I'm talking about in this video, we're ushering in an era where I'm excited to hold on to cameras for longer, basically. I'm excited to keep one setup for 5 to 10 years, for a decade, right? With a combination of tools that I can use in post, but also, hey, camera companies, let's maybe utilize the ability to seed software updates to these very capable cameras, right? Of course, camera companies make more money when they sell you more physical cameras, right? And you just keep keep on going on that treadmill, but we're truly entering an era where I think camera and tech as a whole is just getting really good, and people are gonna stop upgrading as fast as they have. And to stay competitive, I think you are going to have to push the fold with software when it comes to cameras. Okay, well, I mean, again, guys, I could probably talk so long about this. I love cameras so much. I love gear so much. But look how tired Judy looks over here. He's just over here listening to me yabber, and he's like, Sarah, wrap it up. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Check out my Squarespace link in the description below if you need a beautiful creative portfolio, or if you need to really sell anything online. Squarespace is the place to do it. Let me know if you like this video. Hit that subscribe button down below for new videos every single week. And until next time, guys, stay peachy. Okay, bye.